I've been a full-time golf content creator for over 14 years, and I've learned a lot of things along the way. Let's just say the reality is definitely not quite what you might think it is. In some ways, it's actually probably better than what you think it is, and in a lot of ways, it most definitely is not. So today, I just wanted to get a little bit personal. If you've ever wondered what it's like to be a golf YouTuber, golf blogger, whatever you want to call me, today I'm going to share with you all the things that I've learned along the way, some really valuable lessons, and give you some insight into what this actually looks like to do as a full-time job. Let's go. Number one, good content opens doors that shouldn't be open. Before I started Breaking 80, I had never played a private golf club in my life. I did not have any connections in the golf industry. All I did was say, you know what? I'm getting obsessed about this. I'm passionate about this thing. I want to create the golf blog that I would want to read. And within the first year of starting it, I got opportunities to go play some of the coolest private golf clubs out there. I got sent some of the coolest, newest golf products to be able to go and review. And the reality is simply by creating content around golf courses, around golf products, and doing a pretty good job with it, I like to think, all of a sudden I made connections within an industry that I should not have had access to. At this point, I've played 57 of the top 100 golf courses in the world. I've played over 500 courses at this point. I've made dozens of friendships with people in the golf industry that I simply wouldn't have had access to were it not for Breaking 80. We live in a world right now where if you create good content, it will get noticed and it will open doors that previously just were simply impossible to open. And it never ceases to amaze me just how far I've gone in the world of golf simply by putting myself out there and writing this like little golf blog that all of a sudden kind of turned into a thing. And then once I started doing YouTube 3 years ago and all of a sudden I became a little bit more visible, that kind of was like throwing gasoline on the fire, and those two things have worked together in order to just give me opportunities that frankly would never have existed otherwise, and in my mind, I feel like they shouldn't have ever existed. I feel like an imposter in this world, but I'm very thankful for where we ended up. So the bottom line is good content can open doors that you never thought would be open to you. All right, second thing, kind of related to that, consistency beats everything else. I can't tell you how many people over the years have come to me and said, hey Sean, I want to start an online business or a blog or a YouTube channel or whatever. My previous business was all about helping people do exactly that. Plain and simple, freelance writing is the easiest way for most people to make sustainable long-term money on the internet. So I've literally talked to thousands of people that have wanted to do this over the years, and here's what ends up happening 98% of the time. People get excited about it, maybe they buy a domain or they start a YouTube channel, they film one thing or they write one post, and then they give up, they stop. It's too much, they don't have time, they have excuses. Very few people ever actually follow through with anything. Frankly, there's nothing special about me. I am not that smart. But the one thing I've done since 2009, when I became a full-time content creator, is I've been consistent. A little bit of work nearly every single day. In my career, I've published over 2,000 articles online. I've created over 1,000 YouTube videos. And you know what? A lot of those probably weren't very good. But every once in a while, you get one that is good, and it resonates with people, and it starts to spread. And all it takes is that one video that kind of hits, that pushes you over the edge, and it takes you from feeling like an imposter and not sure if you're ever actually going to be able to make it work, to giving you that little glimmer of hope that says, oh, maybe I can do this. But the only way to get to that point is through consistency. A little bit of effort every single day. And the reality is most people simply don't have that consistency in them. Life gets in the way, or they get beat down, or they get frustrated. And rather than pushing through it, they just stop. And so what I've found in the golf industry is everything builds on itself. You could do one rangefinder review and that's fine. But part of the reason why my content's been successful is I've now reviewed dozens of rangefinders. I can compare and contrast those. When I have a list of the best golf rangefinders, you can trust that the chances are good. I have tested most of the major competitors out there, and my recommendations are valid and accurate because I've compared and contrasted all those things. If I wasn't consistently going out and testing and reviewing all of those things, then that content wouldn't have the impact that it has now, and it wouldn't continue to build on itself from a traffic perspective as well as a revenue perspective. So this is one of the best secrets I've learned. Consistency beats almost everything else because most people won't be consistent. But here's the kicker, and that's number 3, is that doing this well Well, it's a lot harder than people think. You don't necessarily think about all the things that go into creating content. And these days, there's so many different types of content creators out there. There's TikTokers in short form. There's people that are writing essays on LinkedIn and on blogs. There's long form YouTube videos. There's email marketing. I mean, there's all sorts of different mediums. But the reality is no matter which one of those you choose, it is probably going to be more work than you think. So for me, for instance, say I get a new rangefinder. Well, typically I'm going to do a video review and I'm going to do a written review. So I have to go out and I have to use it a couple times. I have to get familiar enough with it to actually use it. I then have to photograph it. I then have to write the article. I then have to shoot the video. I then have to edit the blog post and the video. I then have to add all the affiliate links. Then I have to create a thumbnail and think about all the SEO stuff. And that's all stuff I have to do before I even publish it and market it. So just for one product, there is hours and hours of work that go into it behind the scenes just for that one review. Are there other ways to do it? Can you do it with less time? Sure. But I think part of the reason why I've been able to do this for so long and have the longevity that I have is because I do my best to hold myself to a higher standard when it comes to the type of content that I create. And honestly, there's not that many people that are doing what I do that do both video and the written side of things, honestly, is I think as well as I do. I'm not going to get everything right for sure, but I like to think we do a pretty good job with this. And, it takes a lot of time and effort behind the scenes in order to do that. All right, next up, trust is everything and it is easy to lose. With what I do here when reviewing products and helping people figure out where to spend their money and make their buying decisions, trust is the absolute most important thing. My allegiance is to you more than anybody else, more than any brand, more than any product, anything. If I don't do a good job of being honest about my review to you and building that trust, then I don't have a business. Everything is predicated on trust. And so as part of that, one of the most important things I have learned is to admit when I am wrong. I was wrong. I was wrong about this. Here is the reality. With so many products that I receive, I receive way more products than you actually see here. With all the products that I receive, all the products that I test, there are so many different nuances and factors and specs and all of these different things that go into it. And I try and do my best, but often I miss things or I get something wrong, and rightfully so. You guys are quick to point those things out in the comments. Also, the way I review something in my experience might be different than somebody else. So if I do something wrong, if I have the facts wrong or whatever, I've found that it is essential that I recognize that I was wrong. I'm not going to try and fight you on something, be like, yeah, I screwed up. I got something wrong. I'm willing to change my opinion. I'm willing to go back and review the facts in a different way because I'm just one guy and I do make mistakes. So as you might expect, I receive so many comments from people that have different opinions than mine. They're pointing out things that I got wrong or things that maybe I should have done differently or whatever. I hear all of that. And I do my best to, when I did make a legitimate mistake, to own up to it and point that out. But that's one thing that I've learned is that trust is everything. And if I don't listen to what you are saying or be open to the fact that I might have made a mistake, then that trust can start to be whittled away. Or if I put a brand's interest ahead of your interest, again, trust will start to be whittled away. So I started Breaking 80 in 2012. So that's 14 years of building up trust. So all of a sudden, if I start to put brands or even my own priorities ahead of yours, that trust will begin to be whittled away. And we just can't have that. So if there's one thing I've learned is that trust is so important and so hard to get, especially in the world we live in now, that once we have it, I need to do everything in my power to keep it. And that's what I'm trying to do here. So just the fact you're watching this, thank you. That means a lot. Hey, are you still watching this? Are you subscribed to the channel? If not, please go subscribe, because if you like this, then you're probably gonna like all the other videos as well. So I'll wait. 3, 2, 1. Thank you. Appreciate you. Back to the video. Speaking of trust, the next thing I've learned has been a more recent revelation, but that is AI is going to change everything. Already we're at the point where we see so much crappy AI content that we can't tell if things are real anymore. It's I scroll through Facebook and literally 80% of it I feel like is fake. And it's oh, you see that stats. Oh, that's interesting. You go look it up. No, it's not even real. And so AI is changing everything, both for good and for bad. So with what I do, my belief and where I think this is going is that as AI becomes more widespread, people like you and people in general are going to be looking for people like me, people they can trust, people with real experience. A real person as opposed to a computer. People are going to be looking for that real human connection and those actual lived-in experiences and opinions to help make their buying choices and also just for entertainment. I don't think we generally want to be entertained by computers. I think that we want that human connection. That's how we have been wired. And so that's kind of the thing about AI that really scares me. But I think it's why I'm positioned to continue to do well, and you have the potential to be positioned to do well if you decide to go down this kind of content creation, lifestyle, business rabbit hole, whatever you want to call it, because I think more and more people are going to be looking for real people. But on the other side of things, if you're a content creator, a business person, or whatever, and you look at AI as a tool, as opposed to something that can replace you or replace your thinking, well, then we're living in a wild time. Because all of a sudden you have the ability to be smarter, to have a built-in assistant, a built-in thought partner, and to create more content faster than you have ever been able to in the history of the world. So that's something I've been experimenting a lot with on my website. How do I leverage AI tools to allow me to put out more content while also making sure that all the thoughts, opinions, vibe, personality are still uniquely my own? Because again, as soon as someone thinks, oh, like that doesn't sound like Sean, or that's not Sean, or those don't sound like Sean's opinions, all of a sudden that becomes problematic and you start eating away at trust. So honestly, we're just living in a wild time where there are more opportunities than ever because of AI, but if you are not approaching them in the right way, then frankly, a lot of those opportunities are probably going to be dwindling because of AI as well. So I don't know what's going to happen, but I do know that in the world of content creation, AI is going to change everything. Next up, one of the most important lessons I've learned is that you don't have to do, nor should you do, everything. And what I mean by that is so often people will get started and they're like, okay, I need LinkedIn, I need Twitter, I need a YouTube channel, I need TikTok, I gotta have short form, I gotta be on Facebook, I gotta be on Instagram, I gotta have the blog, I've gotta be doing an email list. Too much. Way too much. I would way rather do one thing at 100% really well than spread myself thin across all of those things and do 10% across 10 different mediums. So what I think you should do is pick two things, pick two mediums that you enjoy, that you feel like you excel at, and focus on those. So if you are a short form content creator, maybe you pick Instagram and TikTok, and those are the two things you focus on, and that is all you care about at first. For me, for years, it was my blog and Instagram. The blog was where I did my reviews, Instagram was where I had the most success with social, and those were the only two things that I focused on. Over time, I started evolving that a little bit. I really started considering my email list. The thing I love about email, and I think that over time, any content creator should really think about their email list because that is the one thing that you own. So any social platform, they can go change their algorithms tomorrow, and even if you have tens, hundreds of thousands of followers, there's nothing to say that they're still going to see the content you create. With my blog, we've seen this over the last 3 years. They could change their search algorithm, and all of a sudden my website could no longer show up in search. So overnight, the majority of my traffic could simply disappear. But with email, you own that data. You can still reach the people that raise their hand and say, yeah, I like your stuff, I want to follow you. Which, by the way, are you on our email list? There's a link below. You should go check it out. I send 2 to 3 emails a week. We've got deals you're not going to see anywhere else. We've got the best product reviews, content that you are going to see on the internet. Lately, I've really been focusing on trying to create high quality, informative, entertaining, useful emails. And so if you're on the email list, make sure you go check that out below. But all that to say, for the most part, I've specifically ignored things like short form video. I haven't done much on Twitter. I haven't done much on LinkedIn. So I said, you know what? We've got the blog, we've got YouTube, we've got the newsletter. Those are the primary things that are working for me. And I would rather do those really, really well as opposed to spreading myself thin across all those other places. So as you grow and as you get systems in place, then you can start kind of picking and choosing which ones you want to add in. You might hire more people, get more people on board so that that allows you to focus on more platforms. But one of the biggest mistakes I've seen people make is they try and do too much all at once, they get burnt out, they're not consistent, and then everything just kind of dies before it even really gets going. So focus on just a couple mediums that you enjoy, that you think you excel at, that resonate with your type of audience and your industry and your niche, and I think you're going to see a lot more success than if you're trying to be everywhere all at once. All right, next up is that you will never please everyone. I know, like, you should know that in life already, but if there's one thing that I've learned by putting myself out there and giving my thoughts and opinions of products and life and things, even this video, there will be someone in the comments that's like, screw you, we don't care, or whatever. And that's just a reality of life. And I've had to become okay with that. As someone who naturally wants to be liked, I naturally feel like I'm a nice person, I try not to rock the boat too much. You gotta realize not everybody will agree with you, not everybody everybody will like your opinions. A lot of people, especially on the internet, will be very mean when it comes to giving their own opinions or giving their own thoughts on your content. And just know that if you're doing that, if you're getting haters, if you're getting people that disagree, well, then you're doing something right. As much as I hate seeing those negative comments, I'd be more concerned if I weren't getting them. Also, if you're watching this from the UK, I hear you loud and clear. You guys hate speakers and you do not want music on the golf course. I got it. We'll agree to disagree there. Sorry. But the bottom line is if you're creating content, you are trying to please everyone, you won't succeed. So you might as well just focus on the people that are excited about what you're doing, serve that audience well, build trust, and you're gonna be a lot better off than if you try and water everything down and please everyone in the process. Because no matter what you do, you're not gonna do that. So you might as well be true to yourself and true to the people that really do believe in you. Okay, the next lesson I've learned, and this has kind of become one of just like my philosophies on life, and that is that the best stories come at the extremes. They come at the high end and the low end. So a great example of this is years ago, I was with my wife in Bali and I forced her to stay in a $5 a night hotel. This was the worst, dirtiest, trashiest hotel I think I've probably ever been in, but looking back on that story, we talk about it frequently. We talk about how great it was and how things were different and all the amazing street food we had on that trip and the people that we met. But this kind of like low end, but culturally relevant and interesting, authentic experience was one of the more rewarding and enjoyable travel experiences I've had. On the other side of things, you're equally as likely to have a good story to tell on the high end. So recently, a great example of this is getting to visit Sensei Porcupine Creek. When you go there, it is one of the most luxurious high-end experiences you could ever have. We had the entire golf course to ourselves all day. And whenever we got hungry, they just said, yeah, give us a call and we'll bring food right out to you. And the only restaurant on property is Nobu. So with one phone call, we're getting world-class food brought to us on this immaculate golf course that we had all to ourselves, and that is just the tip of the iceberg with what we experienced at Sensei. We look back at that as three of the best, most relaxing, most enjoyable, most over-the-top travel experiences we've had. But if you're just traveling around and you're staying at like a Hampton Inn, it's like, that's fine. But usually those don't end up being the stories that end up being the most memorable. High end, low end, those extremes, those are where the best stories lie. And that middle stuff, that's the stuff that, at least for me, kind of tends to blend into the background. So by no means is this a hard and fast rule, but I think about this a lot as I'm planning my travel, as I'm planning what I'm doing. High end, low end, those are where the experiences have been the most memorable for me. And if I'm doing something in the middle, well, then what can I do to enhance that experience or make it more memorable? Because, I don't know, in my opinion, I think the person that wins at the end of the day is the person that has the most interesting stories to tell. And that's what I've tried to do with my entire life, is do my best to just create stories that are worth telling. All right, I got two more for you, and the next one is when in doubt, create more. And this goes back to the idea of consistency, but whenever I don't know what to do, the answer is create. It's write a review, it's shoot a video, it's take a photograph, it's share something, it's put something out there. Because like I said earlier, you don't know when that one thing that you put out there, you don't know when that's going to take off or go viral or be that thing that's going to open up other doors that you never expected to be open to you. And so the only way that you're able to have the opportunity for that happening is to create and to put something out there. And so often I will neglect some of the important things in my business, creating better systems or creating better email funnels or creating better marketing, whatever. A lot of that stuff that needs to be done at some point, a lot of it I just kind of overlook and say, you know what, I'm just gonna create another review because I've never talked about that product, and that's one more line in the water. That's one more opportunity for someone to come and find me. And that's also one more point of trust that I can build with my audience. Because let's say I go out and review a new launch monitor that I've never used. Well, I now have one more data point. I have one more frame of reference. I can talk about that particular product versus all the other ones that I have reviewed. And so by creating more, not only does that allow you to do a better job of establishing your expertise, that's another opportunity to get found, that's another data point, that's another opportunity to reach a new audience or a new person. And if you don't create, then that's not gonna happen. So when in doubt, create more. And finally, the last thing I've learned being a full-time content creator for over a decade is that what I get to do, this is a privilege, not a right. This can all go away tomorrow. As soon as I start focusing too much on money, as soon as I start trying to focus too much on building relationships with brands, as soon as I start forgetting that there's real people that are trusting me for my reviews and their buying decisions, as soon as I forget all this can go away. And I do my best, and sometimes I do a better job than others. I do my best not to take advantage of that. I do my best not to forget about the fact when I left my finance job and I had no money and no business and I had no idea what was going on, which by the way, I shot a whole video all about how I became a full-time YouTuber. So if you've never watched that and you found this kind of interesting, then go watch that video. I think you're really going to enjoy it. but this can all go away at any time. You know, this job is harder than it looks. It's caused me to have a love-hate relationship with golf. What used to be my passion, what used to be my release, what used to be the thing that I would go and do for fun, now there's not a single time I play golf where I'm not thinking, oh, I should be reviewing this, or I could be doing this, or I should be creating content. There's now this like burden of it's a job. That you know, comes with the territory anytime you take something you're passionate about and you turn it into a job. So often I don't enjoy playing golf as much as I used to because I've got all this kind of baggage associated with it. Over the last year, I've done a better job of trying to separate that a little bit, and I've found myself enjoying the game more than I had the previous years, which has been honestly really nice to rediscover some of that. But that is, you know, that should be another point. That is a reality of this world. Be very careful about taking your passion and turning it into your job, because all of a sudden that's exactly what it will be. It will become your job. But despite that, I wouldn't change anything because what I get to do for a living, it is a sincere privilege, and I recognize how lucky I am. So what I would say to you is that I still think there is so much opportunity within this world. This content creator space. It's only going to grow. There's only going to be more opportunities. And the best thing you can do is simply to start. Figure out what type of content you want to create, what you want to create it about, do it consistently, get a little bit better every time. And if you do that for a long enough period of time, you will have a certain level of success. And once you get that first like little win, that first little hit, that first like semi-viral thing, all of a sudden you can start to see how that can, you know, pay off over time. You know, I'm one of the like rare use cases where I've had very few things go quote unquote viral. I've had a lot of slow and steady growth. I've had a lot of base hits with my content, but I've had very, very few things like truly go viral. So you can absolutely do this without, you know, doing that. But in order to make it work, you have to be consistent. You have to put your audience first. You have to work hard and do your best to enjoy it along the way, because getting to do this is pretty damn cool. But anyway, there you go. That's what I've learned. Those are 10 things I've learned after being a full-time golf content creator for over a decade. I do my best to be an open book. If you have questions about me, about this, about how I got going, about anything that I do, drop a comment. I'll do my very best to answer. I can't say that I'm going to have all the answers, but if you've been interested in doing something like this, or if you're looking to get started, or you just want to know more about me, drop a comment and I'll do my best to answer every single one. So I know this was a little bit different than our typical video, but I want to do more personal stuff. I'm a real person. I'm a normal dude. And for as great as all the reviews are and all the travel stuff and everything, you know, I want to have more stuff like this so you can get to know me better, which hopefully helps to build some trust, but also gives you a little bit of perspective as to where my reviews come from, you know, my thought process on things. And yeah, now I'm just rambling. So with that, if you haven't watched the video all about how I became a YouTuber, go do that here. And I hope you have an excellent day. We'll see you on the next one. Peace.